Hey, thanks for calling the Beards and Sundries Market. You've reached Jay. Leave a message after the tone.
Go call our hotline real quick and leave us a voicemail to open the next episode with. Bitches.
Please.
Do it. Do it. Do it. That number is 405-999-2242. Again, that number is 405-999-2242. You had better leave us a fucking message.
Damn.
Do it. Do it. And welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 15 of Beards and Sundries.
15. Wow.
15.
Wow, we can almost drive.
Oh, I have my learner's permit.
And that's right, guys. It's time for another lunch break here at Beards and Sundries, the shop where three gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry item in each episode.
My name is Jay, and was that just a warm fart, or did I poo? I don't know, but I'll stress all day now about a poop stain.
Let's hope so.
And I'm Anthony, and I wonder if my old boss from 12 years ago remembers the time I texted him the word sex instead of sec. Because I sure do.
And I'm Joe, and I just told the waiter who served me my food to enjoy his meal as well. And if you haven't guessed, today's sundry item is unnecessary anxiety. That's right, Beardos, it's a doozy today.
I'm already
Today
stressed
we
to
are
talk about
tackling the
this.
fun subject of anxiety and what can cause us to feel it in even the smallest and most mundane of scenarios, including forgetting to put on my glasses. From the airport, worrying about what others think, the thought of forgetting something. Yes, today we have a lot to chat about, and hopefully you guys can relate. Now, later on, we have a homebrewed game.
But
I'm ready for that.
Oh, sorry. Are you?
Go ahead.
No, you're not.
Oh, I'm anxious.
You're not
Go
ready
ahead.
for this? Are you anxious
Ooh,
about
sorry.
it?
Oh,
I'm very.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so
sorry.
sorry. Keep talking.
So sorry.
Oh my God, sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Are you done?
I think so. Are you? Do you want to talk? Am I offending you?
I don't know.
If I,
It's
are-
okay.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to
Are you
talk over
okay?
you.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you talking over me.
I'm most anxious about the fact that we didn't get a voicemail this week.
Why can't you guys just leave us a voicemail? Come on.
Why do you hate us? Now I'm anxious about that.
If you've called once, you're welcome to call again. Like, we want to hear from you every week if you want.
Yeah, somebody. Anybody? Now I'm anxious about that.
We're going to have to change the name of the podcast to Beards and Sadness.
Oh.
That's already the second title.
Well, Joe, can I find my anti-anxiety medication with the sundries?
Nope, that's still back in pharmacy, baby. But there is some medication in aisle 4 for anxiety. Jay's taking some right now as we speak. But if you guys are new to our show and you're wondering just what the hell a sundry is, the term comes from an old English word meaning odds and ends. Now today, it's used mainly in retail as a way to group together items that otherwise wouldn't have a group of their own. So, as three very anxious gay men with beards, we are using the term to group together the wide range of topics that we cover.
Wow. I bet you weren't nervous about that at all.
I sound like I'm not, but oh my gosh. I'm so glad you can edit this later because it's usually not my first take.
I actually wasn't nervous about what you were saying because I'm nervous about what topics I'm going to talk about. And so my brain anxiety has been so worked up over what I'm going to say.
Yeah, if we ever do this live, I'm screwed. I'm going to have to practice a bunch.
I thought about that today while I was at work and I had plenty of time because we were having computer issues, so I didn't have a lot to do. And
Oh, those are my favorite days.
I kept thinking of all these fun things. And now I'm like, what did I think about today?
My brain is the most creative when I'm at the office. And then the moment I get home, I'm like, God, everything I thought about today sounds super exhausting. So
Right out the window.
So I've kind of fine-tuned our topics and subtopics today into, I think, a way we can kind of steer them all in the same scenario at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to take something that's usually very relaxing and sounds good on paper, and we're going to do a week-long vacation in this episode. So we're going to start with our first topic, which is packing for this vacation. Now, when I think about anxiety about going on vacation and packing, I think about the first thing is, what am I going to forget? Now, there's always those fun memes, and we joked about them a little bit this past weekend when we hung out, but there's that one meme where it's like me regularly, I don't need to bring that many things, and then it's me packing for a trip, and it's like, should I bring 4 French horns or 5? There's a great Jenna Marbles video where she's packing for vacation, and she's like, what if there's no stairs there? What if I have to clean something? What if I go swimming? What if I don't go swimming? And she has like 16 pairs of underwear, and she's packing a step stool. But yeah, you never think about what you're going to forget, so you overpack. And Jay, I think I can definitely say that you're the queen of overpacking. You want to tell everyone how much you packed for the cruise last year?
I am the queen of overpacking, and if I recall right, I had 2 large suitcases and a carry-on tote and a backpack, and I used all of it because I flipped through all that clothing so fast because I change all the time. I also...
There were many wardrobe changes.
There were a lot of wardrobe changes, and I stress so much about packing the correct stuff that I actually bust out a full-blown list with columns and broken up into what suitcase carries what and all of this stuff, because if I forget something, I like panic on a trip. So I'm crazy.
And you got to think, like, you're going to need at least 4 pairs of underwear per day, right? At least.
Yeah, because, I shit myself so often that I need that underwear.
Not according to the bingo card.
What's even funnier is one of my friends is travels all the time, and the first trip I went on, he's like, "Oh no, there's no need that we would have checked luggage. We're just doing carry on." I'm like, "What do you mean, just carry on? How do you do that?" And so I basically consider him my educator into how to pack light, and I have done like 3 trips now with just carry on, and it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, well, we have the great fortune of we wear the same size shoes and shirt. We only differ in pants by like 2 inches height-wise, but we get pretty lucky in the sense that we can usually wear all the same clothes, typically. So at least we have that. That is lucky for us.
Right up until we want to wear the same thing.
Yeah, that's the only time that the anxiety kicks in with that, is whenever I want to wear the Corgi t-shirt and Anthony already has it on.
We'll alternate and switch at lunch.
Well, so we've finished packing for our trip, right? So a little bit of anxiety has been qualmed for that. So now we have taken our Uber or our Lyft or our family friend or a relative, and they have dropped us off.
But are we on time?
There you go. We have gotten in the car, but are we on time?
Okay, so if you're 4 hours early to the airport, we should be okay, right?
Possibly, unless you're flying American and everybody has to check in via the kiosk.
Okay. Did I put a tag, though, on my checked luggage if I did have checked luggage? Because I forgot.
Well, you have to go print it, and then you have to go back and wait in the other line to put your tagged luggage in the thing, because you're flying American, and you don't know if that plane's ever going to actually take off, whether the flight attendants are going to be there, whether the pilots are going to be there. There are 200 people on this flight, and they all arrived at the same time you did, and they all want to cut in line.
Honestly, one of my fears is that I got luggage that specifically said it's for carry-on, and then as I'm getting on the plane, they're just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's too big." And I'll be like, but it said on the tag that it was carry-on approved, and then they just yank it out of my hands.
Oh, don't you dare do that. Do not be a Karen on the airplane. I will not have it.
Oh, no. I'm easygoing. I'm just like, do whatever you need to. But in my brain, I
could have a pack of tissues, and if they said it was too big, I'd be like, here, okay, take it.
Did you say my laptop wasn't approved? I guess I'll throw it away. That's fine.
So, but backtrack, we haven't gotten to the plane yet. So we're still dropped off at the airport. Let's just say that we have plenty of time. We got a couple hours. We've checked in. Now it's time to worry about our baggage weight. Now, Anthony and I experienced this when we went to Florida last. So, Jay, how heavy is your checked bag allowed to be?
Through Delta, it was 50 pounds, but if you were
first class... It used to be 50 pounds, right?
If you were first class, it was 70.
We found out that it's no longer 50 pounds.
What is it?
40.
We were pleasantly surprised to find out that it's now 40 pounds.
This was Allegiant because they have a direct flight from Tulsa to Sanford. It was 3 of us. Joel went with us, and we all had a checked bag, and every single one of our bags was too heavy.
Because we all went for 48 pounds to skirt the 50-pound limit.
That's weird. Allegiant's website even says check bags per passenger is up to 50 pounds.
It sure does.
They made us take all of that stuff out.
And this was also Anthony's first time flying with the CPAP machine, so we had to finagle that into one of our carry-ons as well, because we couldn't risk that not making it there on time.
That was in my backpack, actually. I made sure that was in the most cared for place.
I definitely haven't dealt with checked baggage the past few times I've flown, because I've gotten lucky and only done carry-on. And usually traveling this way, I do have one bag up in the cabinet, and then I usually have one other bag which has my CPAP that I put under the chair in front of me.
But Jay, how do you decide which comfy clothes you're going to wear each night? How do you know whether you're going to feel like wearing your Brooklyn Nine-Nine t-shirt or you want to wear your Super Smash Brothers t-shirt? They're both so fucking comfortable, Jay.
So I have to cry for 45 minutes, and then I just throw one in the bag.
So we have made it through checking our bag. We've made it through the gate of the airport. We are now heading to TSA. It's time to go through security. So now is the time in your life where you're thinking, oh no, are they going to find the AK-47 that I have somehow gained and is now in my butt?
Did I pack my Nintendo Switch or did I pack plastic explosives?
So then you're worried about your passport or your ID or if they want you to keep wearing a mask nowadays or not. So you've got all your stuff, you're honed in, you're ready to go through. You miraculously get through there somehow because they haven't figured out that you're a criminal yet. There are so many different things now. There are lines where you don't have to take your laptop out. There are lines where you don't have to take your belt off. You don't have to take any jewelry off. Then there's lines that are still old-fashioned where you have to take laptops out. You have to take gaming systems out. It's so crazy because it's quick and there's people lining up behind you and there's people there. The TSA agents are yelling at you because all day in, day out, they deal with the same thing. So of course they're trying to rush you through. They're trying to get you through as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then of course there's going to be somebody in front of you who doesn't know the rules. They haven't been listening, or you're afraid that you're going to be that person. And that's where it turns into kind of a headspace where you get kind of in your own headspace and get nervous, right?
I will say, since getting TSA pre-check, my anxiety has dropped substantially going through it. Besides the usual fear of...
I wanted to ask you how much you like it.
I love it. I will renew it forever and ever and ever because I like not taking my shoes off. It's much, much faster to get through line. It's a shorter line. And then kind of my only fear then is how many 9mm did I accidentally pack rather than trying to listen to them while focusing on my accidental 9mm packing and all of this other stuff that I used to have to worry about with taking my shoes off and pulling everything out of the bag. So
how much is it?
$75 or $80 a month, or for every 5 years.
Okay.
Sorry.
Whoa.
Sorry. No, not monthly.
$75 a month is giving me anxiety.
My gas bill is giving me anxiety, which is that same price. But no, it's $75 or $80 for every 5 years.
Wow, that's really not bad.
And the appointment to get it is 5 minutes to 10 minutes tops. You walk in, you verify some information, you bring your passport, you give your fingertip prints. Yeah.
Well, because we fly at least once a year, if not twice. So, I mean, that'd definitely be worth it.
I usually fly twice at least, and it's to go through that line, and you kind of feel real fancy because you walk up to TSA and your little ticket says TSA pre-check on it, and you show it and they're like, okay, go ahead. And then you're walking through this line and you're like, and then you're not as nervous.
I think we need to look into getting it because it looks like it's very quick and easy.
I just had my boyfriend do it and it was very simple.
So we're at TSA and we have gotten all of our things prepared. We're going through the line. We're slowly going through. We're shuffling through like good little sheep that we are.
I'm pouring sweat because I just am full of anxiety.
And I found a fun article here on CBSNews.com that says that the TSA is now saying that peanut butter is classified as a liquid, meaning that you cannot take it through TSA.
Now what am I going to dip my hand into?
Like all other liquids, passengers are now limited to 3.4 ounces or less of peanut butter in their carry-on bag. But they can also put the snack in their checked baggage. So, The TSA tweeted about the peanut butter rule on March 21st, joking that you may not be nuts about it. They also shared the definition of a liquid, which has no definite shape and takes a shape dictated by its container, which I guess technically peanut butter falls in that category, but it is like the most solid liquid I've ever seen.
I mean, in that case, I can have sheet metal that's not that's a liquid because I can form it into whatever I need it to. Aluminum foil would be a liquid.
I mean, it's just, God, come on. Like, really?
Technically, Nickelodeon Gak is a liquid now.
Yeah, exactly.
Phloem is a liquid. Play-Doh's a liquid.
Don't you bring Play-Doh on the flight, kids.
They're going to take you out. Actually, okay, kids, pack all the Play-Doh you want and try to go through TSA so I can see you get chokeholded.
I want to see a 3-year-old just get, like, body slammed by a TSA agent.
Yes, just once. Please, just once in my life. Just give me this one.
Let it at least be a shitty 3-year-old. Don't be a sweet one.
Let me be there to see it.
So if anyone's listening, please bring your shitty 3-year-old to Oklahoma City's airport in May.
With a gallon of peanut butter and let them try to run through TSA.
Because I need to witness this.
So, we're now lined up, and now it's time to go through either the regular metal detector, which is scary enough, or it's time to go through that big body scanner. You know, the one where you walk in and you turn sideways and you hold your hands above your head like this?
I like that one, actually.
I like it. A couple of anxious points from this. Sometimes I will forget that I have to raise my hands above my head, and I am wearing a shirt that may expose my midriff. And I don't like my midriff very much, so when it shows in public, I get really embarrassed.
I can name a lot of people on the internet who like your midriff.
Okay, well, at least there's them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Joe, you know that you're like the favored child in our TikToks. Everyone's like, Joe, I love him. And I'm like, hey, literally, I dominated this episode.
Oh my God, shut up. But then you've gone through the body scanner, everything's great. And they say, come on through. And then you step out, and then they say, step over here. And I'm like, huh? This happens to me all the time. They make me step over there, and then they like, I don't know if like I have a weird gait when I walk out of the machine or if I'm like leaning to the side or something. But I always get pulled to the side, and they always like pat down my sides. And I'm like, what am I hiding that I forgot about? And then it always turns out to be nothing. And then I get to go on my way and put my shoes back on.
Didn't we just tell you about all the people who like your midriff on the internet?
So does TSA agents.
I guess.
Actually, the last time I went through TSA, I finally was pulled aside for once for the wiping of the hands for any sort of trace of chemical.
Really?
Or substance of some sort. Yeah. Which I'd never had that happen. My ex, almost every single time.
Had you just jacked it in the bathroom before?
Pretty much. Every time my ex used to go through TSA, he was pulled aside for everything. And I was like, what on earth have you done to make them hate you? And I finally got pulled aside for the very first time for that.
Wow. That's wild.
It's never happened to me. I get through TSA spotless. I get a good grade at TSA, which is something that is totally real and attainable.
I get a good grade at TSA, except the one time I was in Corpus Christi, and it was literally just me and my ex going through the line. It was empty besides that, and the TSA agent was yelling at me for taking my watch off. He was like, I did not tell you to do that. And I finally was like putting it back on. I said, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm going to start reporting you if you do not calm down. Literally, it's just us two. It's not stressful.
Wow, good for you for saying something.
He just didn't talk after that. But I just sat there and went, I'm going to report you if you just do not calm the fuck down, because this is unnecessary.
It's a power complex at that point. What's wrong in his life that he has no control over, that he has to be like that at his job?
I was like, you have to be super unhappy at home.
He's just mad because he lives in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, that's the cutest little airport ever, because we were on a Southwest flight, and I remember the airport or the runway was super short compared to, normal runways. And I felt like we literally had to kick the runway like Flintstones, lift the plane off. It was so short.
Now, passengers, listen up. We're about to take off. Whenever you feel the plane start to take off the runway, we need you all to jump.
We need you all to run to the back to make us lift off.
On the count of 3, I need you all to kick real hard downward. Don't kick out, down, kick down. You want to hit the floor.
We need you to turn all of your air conditioners on full blast.
If you pass wind, that's an extra bonus.
And Jay was like, you know what? I got this handled.
The whole plane just...
I mean, it is Corpus Christi.
Are those chemtrails behind that plane? No, that's just fire.
So we have now gotten through TSA. We've gotten our carry-ons back on. We've gotten our electronic devices put back in if we had to take them out. We've got our shoes and belts back on. And now it's time to enjoy the probably 2 or so hours that we have until the flight even boards, if you're like us. So now it's time to explore the airport. Now, the only thing that makes me anxious about this part is that the Tulsa International Airport is very small. You can go left or you can go right to gates A or gates B. And that's it. There's like 2 restaurants. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to shop for. I mean, what's the OKC airport like, Jay? Is it a little better? I think it's Will Rogers International Airport, right?
Will Rogers International. And just recently they did a pretty decent addition to it where Delta got the newer section of the airport. And we've added a bunch of restaurants. And there's several gates in there, and it's nice. The TSA is an all new area, so it's a lot nicer than it used to be.
Now, the only thing I can say about anxiety in the airport while you're waiting is, what if they board 2 hours early and I missed a flight? So what we do first and foremost every time is we always go and find the gate so we know where it is.
Yep.
Pending any disaster or delay or anything, we always find our gate no matter how early we are. We always find it first. I remember one time we were flying back and we made sure to get to a restaurant to have a drink, and we sat at the bar that faced towards the concourse so we could face the gate. So just in case they boarded early, really quickly behind our backs, we could see it and we wouldn't miss the plane.
I've traveled enough now that I finally have lost that anxiety. But I did go through my share where in Seattle once, it was a very early flight. We got there. TSA was a really long wait. That's before PreCheck existed. And we were running up to the line as the last boarding group was boarding. And it was a full flight. They were trying to get people to step away. It was the only flight through Southwest that day out of Seattle. And so that stress kind of set me on this mission for a while to be really early to airports, but now I'm kind of back at the well, TSA, I get through faster, blah 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 blah, everything's fixable, and I kind of stopped stressing.
Well, I get that, because with Southwest you have to board, and there's no boarding assignments, so if you're the last one there, you're pretty much shit out of luck, and it's like only center seats near the back of the plane. Like that happened to us one time on the way to Florida.
Yep. I do like picking my seat, but Southwest prices have always been pretty good to me, so I switch between Southwest and Delta.
We have the Southwest visa, so we're pretty committed.
That's actually how I got my Denver flight for free coming up next month.
I'm glad they've got all their shit sorted out, because I wanted to make sure we were going to be good to go before we fly back up to Minneapolis in September again.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I'll test it for you next month.
Yeah, well, I think they're pretty good now, but hopefully, just let us know for sure, because it's already making me anxious. So, we've boarded the plane. Everything's great. We're in our assigned seat. Our luggage is accounted for. We have our backpack tucked very neatly. And we've followed all the instructions from the flight attendants, because we're good little girls. And now we're in the air. Now, a lot of people get anxious about flying, and I would say rightfully so. There has been quite a number of stories lately with air traffic controllers. I wouldn't say they're inexperienced, but I won't say that they're veterans either. Work shortages are everywhere, and there have been some close calls on runways recently. I'm not going to say it's making me anxious about future air travel, but I'm not going to say that it's not making me anxious about future airline travel. Now, thankfully, these have been at bigger airports where there's a lot of air traffic going through, like New York City, places like LA. Thankfully, it hasn't really happened here around us yet. Doesn't mean it can't happen, and doesn't mean it won't happen, but it is in the back of my mind. And, air travel can be pretty stressful just by itself if you think about things like that. Now, of course, there's medications you can take. You can take Benadryl to calm yourself down. So there are things that help, but I think the anxiety about air travel is always going to be there, because it's just something that's out of your control, and you're putting your life into someone else's hands in a steel tube 40,000 feet in the air. So there's always going to be a degree of anxiety there. I've learned that unless there's terrible, terrible turbulence, I'm usually pretty calm on the plane just because it's usually pretty smooth. I haven't really had a lot of terrible experiences in flight.
I can't recall having any struggles in flight besides one time we had some turbulence for 45 minutes taking off from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, from Atlanta? Get me anxiety anyway. Atlanta airport's scary.
That airport stresses me enough. But it was kind of the first time that I'd been in enough turbulence that I was just like, are we going to crash? But I kind of was just like, don't think about it. So I just shut my window and was just like on my headphones. But yeah, it was, we kept dropping quite a bit and it was pretty aggressive, which I expected that over the mountains coming back from Seattle to land in Denver once, and we didn't have that at all. I have to say probably my biggest stress is boarding the plane and trying to get my luggage and the carry-on without blocking people. And then once we're on the flight, I'm fine.
The Atlanta International Airport, the way that it's placed geographically and the amount of traffic that it goes through every day, the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport is actually the busiest commercial airport hub in the world. So if you're ever going through there, you want to make sure your layover is at least an hour and a half, because if you don't know where you're going, you're fucking running and you don't know where you are, and it is busy, very busy. So we've gotten through the flight. Everything was nice and smooth. Thankfully, that wasn't too anxiety-inducing, and we've landed at our destination. Now, you guys probably have seen this. When the plane lands, everyone starts to unbuckle their seatbelt. Everyone turns their airplane mode off on their phones. And then the plane reaches the gate, and suddenly everybody wants to stand up and get in the aisle. Even though the jet bridge is not connected to the plane yet, the airplane door is still closed. You can't get to your carry-ons anyway. I don't get it. What is that mentality?
Even if you have like a tight layover, getting up before everyone solves nothing.
It does. You're not going to get in front of anybody. It's a very narrow aisle. It only has the width of one person.
There's an understood rule, too, that there's an order of how everyone exits the plane. So if you're mid or late or even pretty early, like, it doesn't matter. The only time I could see it mattering is if you are mid-plane and your luggage is far back.
Yeah.
The only time I can see that you could go grab that, come back. But usually it's people getting up immediately to yank it down. I'm like, stop. And side tangent, people who clap when the plane lands.
Ew.
Stop.
Don't do that.
But that does make me anxious. I don't like it when people are all standing up around me and I'm sitting down.
Yeah, I'm like, what is the point of this? Like, the only thing that I could see is if you have, like, if your back hurts and you want to stand, but then, like, even then, like...
I mean, I get it. I'm a big person and I've been sitting on this plane for as long as you have. And trust me, I would like nothing more than to get my sweaty ass and my lanky fucking legs
Swamp
out of
ass.
this goddamn seat. Yeah. Every time I fly, I am sweaty, I am gross, and every part of me is sore from sitting there.
I always spill something on myself. I spilled coffee on my white shoes last time. For some reason on a plane, I cannot handle it, and I'm always like, ooh, it's just a small... and I spill it.
Wow. Trash.
Yep.
Jay never spills his coffee at home.
You're right.
He spills it out of his butt. And he runs out of creamer.
Please spill coffee out of your butt. We're trying to fill the bingo card.
He said, is this enough creamer for my drink? Ooh, there's a little bit left. Anthony's still asleep. Better use the rest of it.
Guess the bitch should have woke up. Pour. Now I'm going to give him anxiety for waking up early to have creamer at my house.
You wanted a creamer, bitch? Better wake up at 4.
Grapple's got to watch his news.
Well, okay. So we have landed. We have now made it to baggage claim. Quick fun tangent about baggage claim. The baggage carousel has now started spinning. and bags have slowly started to come up and start spinning around. Does anyone else get anxious when you think that someone else is going to take your bag, or you wonder if it's going to be there at all?
I used to not worry about that at all, about it not being there, until one time I flew American on the way to DC for a work conference, and they tore the wheels off of my check bag during the trip.
Oh.
So I filed a claim for them to repair it, and on the way back, they lost it.
Oh.
So they ripped the whole bag out of existence.
I did have a weird problem for a bit with Delta, where I would get back from my trip and there would always be this massive issue with one of my suitcases, and they were always damaged. So I'd report it, and then they would give me a flying credit. And I mean, I wasn't buying expensive luggage.
Well, because you only travel with 18 bags.
Exactly. And so I finally ended up getting nicer luggage, and so far have been okay.
I haven't really worried about it since we got unique looking luggage, but looking at all these black suitcases stresses me out for others, because I'm just like, someone's going to grab your suitcase and they won't know because they're not going to look at it until later, and then you're never going to get it back.
The sheer number of people I see grab a suitcase, look at the tag, put it back, and then grab a suitcase that does not look like that at all, is alarming.
Yeah.
We've got it figured out. We have this super cute matching set of check bag carryover. We have this matching set of ones that Anthony uses and one that I use. And the set that I use is a gray hard shell suitcase and carry-on combo with an orange zipper, so it stands out on the carousel. And then Anthony has this newer American Tourister set that has like a solar blue purple pattern on it. So they stick out really well on the baggage claim carousel, and we haven't had any trouble yet, thankfully.
So, because I only have a vinyl cutting machine and I don't really have the technology right now to print like perfect pictures and stick it on there, I've thought about getting like just a black and white line drawing of my face and sticking it on my hard shell suitcase and saying, do I look like the person dragging this luggage or something like that?
So, we have gotten our baggage off of the carousel. Everything's fine. We can calm down a little bit. Now it's time to go get our rental car. So then now you've gotten your rental car and everything's great. You've gotten out of the parking lot. Now it's time to talk about some driving anxiety. We'll skim over the fact that you're not in your own vehicle, because that brings in a new kind of set of problems on its own. Not really so much for us, but it can be stress-inducing for people that aren't used to driving a different vehicle. But we'll just kind of gloss over that, and we'll just go into some common driving anxiety in general. So what are some common things that you guys think about when you think about driving itself?
I guess my only anxiety is this super crazy driver going to be mad that I merged over like a normal person and then follow me home and try and murder me?
And then the only thing I can really think about for driving anxiety is like, I mean, I drive above the speed limit, sure, so I don't really worry about people behind me. I just worry about people that are going to do something stupid, like when someone pulls out of a parking lot right in front of me, or when someone isn't using their turn signal. I am a very conscientious and religious turn signal user, because that's what it's for. Too. You are signifying your intent. It is a turn signal. So when someone slows way down, I'm like, why are you slowing down? And then they slowly turn right into a parking lot. I say, hey, my guy, there's a little stalk that you can flip up and it will tell me that you're planning to turn right soon, so I can prepare for that and I won't have to be anxious about you stopping in the middle of the fucking road. So, they haven't shot you, thankfully. No one had a gun, but we've made it to where we're going for our trip, and we've kind of settled in, and now it's time to go out to a restaurant and have some fun. So let's talk about some restaurant anxiety.
Enjoy your meal.
Thanks, you too. But before we've gotten to that point, we've made our way into the restaurant. We have seen that it's pretty crowded, and we decided to put our name on the list. Now, is there any time that this makes you guys anxious, or is it kind of like expected, we're going to have to wait? I know, Jay, you like to do reservations and book ahead. I've noticed that.
I'm all about that, just because I don't have to fret at all about if we're going to have room and if we get, because I know that sometimes we'll leave late to go eat, and I'm like, we're going to be hungry. We're going to be hangry. So if I can prevent that, I'll prevent that. And I like, especially if I have guests with me, I like the ease of going, we're not fretting about reservations.
So it depends on where we're going, on how stressed I get about waiting. If we're going somewhere that is like sort of an experience, like let's say we go to, what is that restaurant that I keep wanting you to take us to?
Cafe Cacao.
That's it. In the old Wendy's.
Yes.
I didn't realize that's what it was. We drove by and I was like, that had to have been a Wendy's.
Yeah, for being ranked one of the top 100 restaurants in the nation, it's definitely a janky looking place.
But if we were going there, I don't think I would mind waiting that much. It wouldn't bother me because I'm waiting for an experience. However, when Joel and Joe and I went to the Brothers Hooligan, which is a chain restaurant, and the wait was 45 minutes, I said, no.
You'll watch me go to an Applebee's, and I'm not even an Applebee's lover, but I'll be like, we're not waiting that long. I'll eat garbage.
Seriously.
I'll drink something blue, eat a chewy steak, and be done.
Oh, God.
Brothers Hooligan, for what it is a delicious restaurant. Like, the things they specialize in, they do really well. Their green beans are out of this fucking world.
Green beans.
It's such a weird thing to be known for, but they're known for their green beans and they're known for their gravy. Very good stuff.
But I don't like waiting in certain situations, and it doesn't bother me as much if there aren't people around, or if there's a space I can wait in with a beeper where I can get away from people, because I get anxious around people. In almost every scenario, when I am in a group of people and it is crowded, I become anxious.
I struggle with crowds.
I remember when the pagers came out, it was a really big, great new advancement because I was a host at Olive Garden back in college. And I remember when the pagers first came out, it was very nice to just hand them a number because I had a number on it. You could write down where they were just in case you had to go call their name. And you say, here you go. And they would walk out to their car. And everyone loved it, including us, because it made the lobby less crowded as well. And I remember we were set up right next to a brand new Red Lobster right across the parking lot. And people would get pagers for both and then just go to the one that went off first. So every Monday morning, we would like take our basket of pagers from the other restaurant and walk across, and we would trade the pagers back and be like, here you guys go. Here's your pagers. Here's yours. And we would give like each other free bread from each restaurant as like a fun exchange. And it was always fun to get the pagers back. And it was really nice for people that didn't want to wait in a huge crowd. It was this great new advancement where you could just wait and get paged when your table was ready. And it's great now that a lot of restaurants do it with cell phones now, too.
Oh, that's so nice when they text me.
That was the beginning of the Great Bread Wars. People couldn't have known what would have happened next with the pagers. They couldn't have known what would happen with the cheese bread, or the breadsticks, or the unlimited soup and salad.
40 years from now, my grandchildren will be telling stories of the Great Bread War and how they lost.
It's called the Hunger Games, you idiot.
History will know them as the Gluten Cotillion.
Linda Hamilton was supposed to stop all of this.
But she took the bread and ran. He said, eat this bread if you want to live.
Some say it originated from the Great British Baking Show.
You know, I don't get a lot of anxiety in restaurants unless they're really busy. It really is. It boils down to people for me.
I really stopped getting that kind of anxiety. The only place that I catch myself getting anxiety these days in public is stores that are super crowded. I walked into a grocery store the other day that stressed me the fuck out, and my boyfriend watched me kind of just shut down because I was just like, I don't enjoy this. Everyone's suddenly mad at me behind me in line at checkout, even though it's not my fault that this machine's broken. It's just super fucking crowded.
I get the exact same way.
And you know what? I think I can kind of relate it to, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but for me, there has certainly not been a shortage of gun violence stories in the news. And just this past weekend, we came down to visit Jay, and Anthony and I went to the Outlet Mall just to check it out there in Oklahoma City because Jay went to a show. And there were a couple times while walking around that I thought, is someone going to pull out a gun right now and do a mass shooting? And unfortunately, we now live in those times in America where it's always in the back of my mind that, and you're in a public setting, where is safe now? Certainly not school, church, mosques, banks, workplaces, shopping malls, entertainment venues. It can happen anywhere now. And so I'm always vigilant whenever we're out in public. I'm always looking for the exit route. I'm always looking around at people who I don't want to piss off. I'm always kind of like staying hyper aware because nowadays in public, especially in America, you have to. And it's sad, but you just have to now, unfortunately. Until things change, which I don't think they will, that's just the country that we live in now.
But Joe, we have the Second Amendment and nothing you can do about that.
The Second Amendment was to keep the British off of your property, not so you could carry an AK-47 into Kroger.
I don't know. I don't think my social anxiety has much to do with that. I've always had it.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually the least that stresses me. I just don't even think about it because I'm like, I can't control it. I what the fuck ever.
I don't know exactly what the source of my social anxiety is, but it doesn't always hit. But when it does, it's generally grocery stores. I don't like having my space taken up that much. I don't like being that crowded.
What's funny, though, is I think I Googled not that long ago, why do I have such anxiety in crowded places and things like that? And it was kind of funny reading through it. They're like, because I also don't enjoy public restrooms or anything like that. And it was talking about how oftentimes it relates to being bullied as a kid, oftentimes by people you're close to. And I was like, my family was always the type that made fun of you all the time because that's just what they were. And it was to give you thick skin and all. And I was like, oh no. Are you saying family trauma just keeps happening?
Oh no.
I definitely have a lot of anxiety in my brain about pleasing people and about doing things right.
Same.
And worrying that every step I do wrong will set someone off. And that's because as a kid, it was always just if I did something that wasn't how somebody else thought it should be done, it was like this immediate snap, like, why'd you do that?
So let's deconstruct this for a second for you and I, because I feel like we are very similar in that respect.
Oh, God.
So we go to a Walmart, a Reese's, what's that place, the chain that you have in Oklahoma City that we don't have?
Crest,
that's the one. Wherever you go, the store is crowded. You are worried about people pleasing without thinking about it because you spent your entire life doing it. It is second nature at this point.
Yep.
This store is full of people in ways you could inconvenience them.
Yep.
So would it stand to reason that the source of our anxiety is that we could possibly be inconveniencing these people in some way, shape, or form? We're worried about what they think of us the entire time that we're there.
Yep. And my biggest breakdown that day, a couple weeks ago, was at self-checkout. The machine was being very slow. It wasn't scanning a couple of my items that we had to type in, and there was a line at self-checkout, and my brain immediately was like, every person hates me in this line right now. When there's 5 other self-checkouts right next to me, I'm the reason everyone's unhappy.
So let's do the thought triangle and take it one step further. We found how we feel. We found what we thought. Let's ask if it's real. Is that a real thing to be worried about?
No, not at all.
No.
And that is what I'm currently doing with my brain, being like, this is a complete illogical fear to have over this. And so what? People inconvenience you all the time. If something goes wrong, why is it bad if you inconvenience for once?
I can also tell you this. Those very same people that are behind you, if they are getting aggravated with you in any sort of way, they're about to come up and use that very same machine, Jay, and they're going to see that it's not working for them either.
Or it'll work perfectly for them, and then they're like, that stupid fucking idiot and his little boyfriend just couldn't use, gays can't use self-checkout. Gays are terrible. And then it goes down this whole stem of like one person.
That chunky donkey stupid and his little twink.
Did you see that fat ginger could run a self-checkout? We should eradicate gingers.
Hey!
Well, we've trudged through our very anxiety-riddled vacation, and we made it home. So good for us. We did it. So, you guys think it's time for a commercial?
Definitely.
And now, for a word from our sponsor, the Ball Peen Hammer. You'll never be anxious in public again when you have a Ball Peen Hammer.
Do roadway altercations give you palpitations? Is your neighbor's garage band getting a little out of hand? Are grocery aisle hogs for the dogs? Well, my friend, the Ball Peen Hammer is the solution to all your disillusions. That's right, with the Ball Peen Hammer, you can assuage road rage, you can turn those drums into crumbs, and you can even flog that hog. So don't let life's little inconveniences make you yammer. Send them home packing with your all-new Ball Peen Hammer.
Hey guys, make sure you follow and subscribe to our podcast so you can receive a notification every Sunday when a new episode drops.
You know, the good old ball peen really does come in handy, especially in those parking lot situations, you know what I mean?
You know, as we've heard in previous talk, I have a lot of anxiety in public, and that means in parking lots, I can follow people to their cars that really make me mad. And the Ball Peen Hammer has been a huge benefit to my life because it works so great at busting out headlights, taillights, and possibly putting a chip in their windshield. So thank you, Ball Peen Hammer.
You know, sometimes I keep a few ball peen hammers around. I have like 5 in my car. You never know when you need a spare one to just throw out the window at someone.
And I'm so glad it's the perfect size for anyone. Ladies, you'll love it in your purse.
Is someone riding your ass and stressing you out on the freeway?
Slam on your brakes, block the lane, get out, and bash out their headlights.
If you're on the go and you don't have time for that, a ball peen hammer is so convenient. You just toss it out the window.
Well, fantastic. Does anyone have anything to check out this week?
I do have something to check out this week. And my something to check out is the Unlocking Us podcast with Brene Brown. As you may have gleaned not only from this episode, but from this entire podcast, I suffer from depression and anxiety. Although my medications, for the most part, do keep them in check. And just knowing the warning signs of depression and anxiety and being able to see them in myself also help me to manage them on a day-to-day basis. I can tell when I might be close to a panic attack or when one might be around the corner. I know the signs and the symptoms, and I've learned to manage them. But one of the things that I do when I need to see the wood for the trees, I listen to episodes from the Unlocking Us podcast. So Brene Brown she hosted this podcast for a little while. There's a little over 100 episodes. It has been discontinued, but you can still listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. She talks a lot about the human psyche and psychology and dealing with issues like anxiety and depression and going through those problems and how you can kind of get out of your own head about it to look at them from a third-party perspective and really give yourself a way to step out of your own body for a second and give yourself some grace, which is what we all need from time to time with.
And it can be really hard to do sometimes, too.
It really is difficult. It's what we need to give ourselves on a day-to-day basis, is the grace that we grant to other people. I don't know how often you'll tell someone else at your work, no worries, when it is, in fact, worries.
Indeed, worries.
But those are the things. You forgive your coworkers. You forgive your friends and family and loved ones of their shortcomings because you say they're only human. You look at them in a way that you see like, yeah, you messed up, but like, what's the big deal? But you don't give yourself that same grace. Well, you can get a little bit more of that perspective by listening to this podcast. on any given episode, but I recommend starting it from the very beginning because she goes in a progressive way. There is even a little like 1 or 2 minute intro episode if you go to the show page to give you an idea of what you're in store for. Brene Brown is a wonderful person in general. She does multiple TED Talks. She has another podcast that I cannot remember what it's called. Something about leadership. She does a lot of leadership discussions, which is how I first encountered her before I encountered her in a mental health capacity.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting for sure.
I highly recommend it. It is the Unlocking Us podcast by Brene Brown.
Well, thanks, Anthony. That's very informative and helpful. Well, I've got a fun game for us this week, if you can call a game about anxiety fun, that is. I have whipped up a classic round of Never Have I Ever. I have compiled 10 things that I have never done, and I'm going to see if you guys have. And these are all related to social anxiety. So let's get right into it. This is a classic round of anxiety-induced Never Have I Ever. Okay, we'll just go right down the list. These are 10 statements. Never have I ever. Number 1. I have never apologized to a first responder. And when I say first responder, I say firefighter, EMT, police officer. They've shown up to help, and you say, I'm sorry about this to them in some capacity.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
You both have?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My ex-boyfriend was having a seizure.
Oh, and you apologized?
It took 4 of the 5 first responders to hold him down, while the last one gave him a sedative. And then we spent the entire night explaining how he was not on drugs and he just legitimately had a seizure. And then they ran tox screens. And then even whenever all of those came back negative, they were still like, oh, well, he could have taken enough that like it didn't show up on the tox screen.
Enough that it didn't? How does that make sense?
I don't fucking know. Anyways, I apologized to them because I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
I definitely apologized in high school when I had the police called on me once because one of our friends was mad at us and she was walking down the street and we were trying to get her to get in the car because we're like, stop, calm down. And somebody thought we were harassing her. So they called the police on us and the police showed up and I was like, I'm so sorry that this is happening.
You rocked small town Kansas.
I did.
Okay. Number 2, I have never rounded up and topped off to the next whole entire dollar after missing the dollar mark at the gas pump.
Of course I have.
You rounded up the whole way?
I've definitely done that.
Yep. I don't do it anymore, but I definitely have done it.
I've always been so afraid that I'm going to spray gas out of the tank.
I don't do it now, specifically because my car will spill over if I try to do that.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Cars now are a little bit, in my head, are a little bit more sensitive towards your fuel and sensors. The sensors are. So I stopped trying to fill it so full. I'm now just like, click, I'm done.
Okay, number 3. I have never worried about making too much noise in a public restroom.
Always, always, always. I don't like public restrooms.
I worried about that yesterday. It's funny because I was thinking about this earlier before we actually aired this episode, and I wanted to talk about how nervous I get that I'll make a lot of noise in the bathroom and people will clock my shoes and then recognize who I am throughout the day.
That's when I do one of these when I walk out.
It's the same fear I have is if I'm at the urinal and I do a loud fart, if I'm starting to pee, as Tony and the Tony and Ryan podcast calls it, a start fart. And I'm always like, somebody in the stall behind me is going to be like, I recognize those shoes. That's Jay. He farts when he pees. You know, like nobody else has ever done that. So my body's like, all right, how do you pee without releasing this fart?
And Anthony, I hate to add on to your anxiety about this, but I have clocked coworkers' shoes in the public. And
so have I.
I have clocked other coworkers' shoes.
You know what I do when I'm in the bathroom? I clock coworker shoes.
Flush your shoes? Oh.
Anyways.
Number 4. I have never turned down my windshield wipers after observing others.
You know, I used to do that. I used to be like, well, I can't let them run too fast because everyone's going to think I'm a big old loser.
Really?
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, fuck it. I have to see. I don't care what the speed is as long as I'm comfortable.
Well, I don't think you got to worry about this next one.
Oh, I can't wait for you to be wrong.
Number 5. I have never done karaoke while sober.
I absolutely have.
I have 100%.
You have two? Okay.
Yeah, I have too.
Jay does it just during the day at his office.
Pretty much.
I distinctly remember a time when I was 17 years old and myself and 3 of my friends sang Lady Marmalade in front of a group of people from our hometown. And I sang the Lil' Kim part. And I'll never forget it because I've been stressing about it ever since.
Where is the video?
Do you want a funny stress about karaokeing? Because I am a singer, I stress about messing up a song. Like, I have to go up there and sing it well because my brain's like, you can't mess up. When the whole concept of karaoke is having fun and being stupid. And I'm like, can't fuck it up. Sorry.
Well, I can definitely believe you, Jay. Alrighty, moving right along here. Number 6, I have never sent a food order back to the kitchen at a restaurant.
Nope, I haven't done it.
To my knowledge, I don't think I have. I won't do it. That's an inconvenience to them. They'll spit in it.
Yep.
Now, even if I know they're not going to, I just don't really care that much anyway. Like, I can pick something off. I can find a way to enjoy it if it is wrong. It's just not that big of a deal.
Did my sun-dried tomato pasta come out with Kalamata olives on it at Giuseppe's in Stillwater? Yes, it did. Did I send it back? No. Did I eat those Kalamata olives? Yes. Did I like them? Absolutely the McFuck not. And whenever the waiter asked me if I liked it, I said, it's great.
Yeah, I have definitely been served wrong food before, and I'm like, no, this is perfect. You did wonderful. Nothing's wrong at all. Definitely don't send this back.
It's funny to think about that in the context of the fact that we just went out to eat a couple of times this last weekend. And when we went to the press, I was very much adamant about certain things with my order where I was like, can you bring that to me? But can you bring it on the side? Can you do this? And you guys were making fun of me.
Only jokingly, because you could have been way worse. I've seen way worse. I've been a server before.
Yeah.
That was nothing.
You were not complicated at all. We were just definitely teasing because it was...
Well, because I asked her for no blue cheese, and I was like...
Actually, can I have it on the side? And then we were just joking.
I didn't think about whether or not I would want to try it.
Can I just order the mold on the side?
In my defense, I liked it better than I usually do.
But after every piece, it was kind of funny. You were like, okay.
So, moving right along here. Number 7, I have never told a hairstylist that I didn't like the final look.
Absolutely not. Never in my life.
I've never done that before either. Nope.
Now, I can usually, even if it's not absolutely perfect, it's not a huge deal to me because I don't freak out about my hair that way anyway. I know that I can go home and I can like reshape it into something and I can live with it. It's just not that big of a deal to me with my hair that I don't ever stress out about it. So it's not a big deal.
I even tell people who are cutting my hair or my beard, I'm just like, listen, don't panic. Literally, I can come back 2 weeks later and fix it if I don't like it. Stuff like that. Just, it's all fixable. It's not going to last long. If it comes out bad, I don't care.
Well, I'm glad we're all in agreement with that one. Number 8, moving along here. I have never cut someone in line at a store.
Oh, I have.
Nope, I've never done it on purpose. Now, has someone told me to go in front of them if I have like 1 or 2 items? Sure. And have they taken them up on it? Definitely. But I've never cut somebody off intentionally.
So I definitely don't think I've intentionally cut anyone because I will always try and get your attention first. And I've definitely been known to like get in line and turn around and be like, did I cut you? Because if so, please get in front of me. I didn't mean to intentionally. And so I'm very obsessed with making sure I'm not the problem.
Quick side note, if you're in line waiting to check out, don't get on your phone. It's not the time. It's not time to make a phone call. It's not time to be engrossed in a text message. Pay attention. You are waiting in line. There are people behind you. It's just like a traffic light on the road.
Yeah, I was like, it's like a stoplight.
If you're on a phone call, end the phone call. It's not time to be on the phone.
If you're the first person in line, you have an obligation to make it move as fucking fast as possible.
All right, so next up, number 9. I have never made a scene while attempting to return an item to a store.
Oh, God, no.
It's not done.
No, that's never happened.
They're dealing with enough shit already, and I've seen videos of people acting a fucking fool at the return counter, and I laugh at them because it's funny to me because they're stupid. And my group of friends that we were all servers, we used to say, don't be that person that employee is going to go home and make fun of you two with their friends because they're all going to laugh at you. And you don't want to be that person. That's embarrassing.
They're all going to laugh at you.
They're all going to laugh at you, and you don't want to be that person, so don't be that person.
The more you complain, the less I'm liable to do for you.
Exactly. And then I have one final one that I thought was kind of funny, so I saved it for last, because I don't think any of us have, but if either of you have, I'd love to hear about it. Number 10. I have never asked a bingo caller to repeat a number.
I can't think of a situation I would have been in for that to happen.
I haven't played bingo enough.
So the competitive world of bingo playing is very fast-paced and can be very anxiety-inducing. And asking someone to repeat a number is simply not done, and people will yell at you actively because there are religious bingo players out there. And I just thought, if either of you had, I would have loved to hear about it, but I'm glad none of us have because I feel like it would be really scary.
The only time I can really legitimately recall playing bingo was on the cruise last year.
And that's it. I was like, we're kind of always in a situation where we have digital screens at our advantage that shows everything. Because I don't remember the last time I've played bingo anywhere that wasn't, decently updated.
Yeah. So thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. Well, good. Another classic round of Never Have I Ever in the books.
Well, Beardos, the music's back on, and it's time for us to go.
Oh, no.
Pooh.
Go call our hotline real quick and leave us a voicemail to open the next episode with. Bitches.
Please.
Do it. Do it. Do it. That number is 405-999-2242. Again, that number is 405-999-2242. You had better leave us a fucking message.
Damn.
Do it. Do it.
Well, Beardos, we are so very happy that you're still here. If you want to help us out, go and subscribe to our podcast. You can get reminders every Sunday when we release a new episode. You can also leave us a review. You can leave us comments, what you guys like. And we also post frequent updates on our socials for any additional things that we may add to the market shelves.
And don't forget to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. We would love to hear from you. Those ratings are what get us found by more people, and we'd be honored if you could help us grow by just doing that simple task. Just each one of you telling one of your friends to listen will double our growth.
And make sure you're following our Instagram, our Facebook, our fancy new Twitter, which is @beards_sundries, and check out our TikTok because today I made a video with a green screen that's the crappiest video ever, but I worked the hardest on it and I really need the views to go up. Anyways, so please comment, make suggestions. We want to hear from you. Email us at beardsandsundries@gmail.com.
So, from all of us here at the Beards and Sundries Market, make sure to
love yourself.
Because we already love you. Bye.
Bye.